Hello, and welcome to the episode 3 of the Comprehensible Podcast. So I'm an Englishman living in South Korea, and in the last episode, I talked about coming to Korea and living in Korea. So I figured this time I will talk about England. Actually, I haven't been back to England since I came to Korea 15 years ago. I did plan a 3-week vacation in England in 2020, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you what happened to my travel plans in 2020. It was a really nice trip I had planned as well. My wife is Korean and has never been to England, and so I picked out a bunch of interesting places all around the country for us to visit and spend a few days in each. And I booked an Airbnb in each place. And I found some really nice places to stay. So the places I picked out to visit were London, Manchester, the Lake District, Oxford, and the Cotswolds. I chose these places because they were either culturally significant or because they were beautiful or somehow otherwise representative of England. So there were two things that I wanted my wife to get out of the trip. One, I wanted her to have a wonderful time and see as many interesting things and beautiful places as possible. And secondly, I wanted her to have a personal experience of places in England that she would hear about or read about or see on TV or that come up in conversation or whatever, to give her more context of these places and more of an understanding and a personal relationship and background knowledge of. I even made a little website for her and wrote little articles about the history and significance of all the different locations that we would visit in each place. All in all, I must have spent about 2 full weeks planning and researching the vacation, but that was all wasted time because about 6 weeks or so before we were supposed to get on the plane, all the flights were cancelled, and I had to unbook all of the accommodations and events that I had booked. So I can barely remember what it's like to live in England, and I'm sure it's changed a lot since I was there. But I know it has. So what can I say about England? It has bad weather. It rains a lot. The sky is grey too often. Grey is not a good color for a sky. Possibly my favorite thing about living in Korea is that the sky is usually blue. It's usually sunny. There's a monsoon season where it just rains every day for about a month or 6 weeks, which is kind of annoying. But the rest of the time you can expect sunshine every day and usually not be disappointed. Even in the winter, it gets pretty cold, but the sky is blue and the sun is shining. It's not like that in England. Winters are miserable in England. And in England also, in the winter, it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it doesn't get light again until 8 o'clock in the morning. And Scotland is even worse. But on the flip side of that, of course, the days are really long in the summer. In the middle of summer in England, it gets light at about 4:30 in the morning and doesn't get dark until about 9:30 at night. And that's really nice. I remember being a kid and staying out playing until late during the summer. It's a really nice vibe. There's a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson about going to bed while it's still light outside in the summer in England. Well, Robert Louis Stevenson was Scottish, so it's probably about Scotland, but it's the same thing in England. That poem brings back memories. It is a strange feeling going to bed in summer when you're a young kid and it's still like fully light outside. What else can I say about England? There's some really nice countryside. There are some really beautiful landscapes and natural areas. I remember driving home from Manchester Airport after coming back from America one time. And I ended up driving through the countryside around there, along these narrow country lanes, through the hills and fields. And it was very different from Florida, where I'd been. Totally different landscape, very different environment. And it struck me how unique and beautiful the English countryside is really something else. Florida is beautiful too, of course. Florida is incredible. America in general has some mind-blowing landscapes. But there really is something unique about the English countryside. It has an atmosphere and a beauty all of its own. I hear a lot of people saying that the food in England isn't very good, but I can't understand it. For me, the food is one of the best things. England is a very multicultural city, especially London. And there are people from all over the world there. In fact, 40% of London's population now were not born in England. And I guess that one thing people do when they move to a new country is they open a restaurant and serve food from their home country. It's actually difficult to find an English restaurant in England. I think if the food is bad in England, then it's literally everyone else's fault but the English. I don't see how the food can be worse than in other places because the food is from all the other places. Plus, England also probably has the most famous chef in the world, Gordon Ramsay, and has the 7th highest number of Michelin-starred restaurants. So I can't understand it. Anyway, Indian restaurants are the most popular restaurants in England. It used to be Chinese until fairly recently. Chinese is now the 3rd most popular behind Italian. Thai, Japanese, Greek, and Mexican are also popular. I'm personally a huge fan of Thai food. There's a chain of Thai restaurants in London called Thai Square, which was my favorite restaurant when I was there because they had a dish that was roast duck in sweet tamarind sauce served on crispy baked seaweed. Oh, it was so good. I had that every time I went there. I don't know quite how traditionally Thai that is. I never even saw it in Thailand or anywhere else. That could be literally the only restaurant, the only place in the world that makes it. I don't know. Anyway, if you ever find yourself in Angel Station in London, I highly recommend it. It's a chain, but they only seem to have that dish in the one at Angel. So anyway, yeah, people tend to cook and eat Italian stuff at home too. England is very different from Korea in that respect. In Korea, people pretty much just eat Korean food every day and then go to a foreign restaurant when they're feeling super adventurous and cosmopolitan. I think we only eat English food in England when we're feeling super nostalgic or something. Or sometimes on Sundays. Sunday roast is a traditional English dish, I guess. It consists of roast meat, either a chicken or a joint of pork or beef or lamb, with roast potatoes and sometimes parsnips. I've never seen parsnips in Korea, I don't think. And boiled or steamed vegetables with gravy. So a joint is basically a chunk of meat big enough for several people. I guess the word joint originally refers to the joints in your body, like your knees and your elbows. Farm animals don't have arms, so I guess a joint would technically be a chunk of beef or pork leg with a knee on the end of it. But I think joint can also refer to meat from other areas, such as the ribs and what have you. So this used to be a big family meal of the week, the big family meal of the week. On Sundays, the whole family would get together and share this food, and the meat is carved off the joint and served at the table. So I guess the vegetables would be plated in the kitchen. Then the meat and potatoes and gravy would be brought in separately, and then the meat would be carved and distributed by mom or dad or whatever, and then people help themselves to potatoes and gravy. I figure that used to be a ritual that happened every Sunday, but I guess it's getting less common nowadays as people get busier and less family oriented and less ritual oriented and less oriented, maybe, arguably. A lot of pubs sell Sunday roast on Sundays, and I guess more people go out to eat than cook it at home now. So pubs are quite important to social life in England. I guess that's the most popular place to meet friends and socialize. People go down the pub. That's what they do. They go down the pub. I figure I find it difficult to put my finger on the difference between a pub and a bar, but I definitely know them when I see them. I guess pubs are more relaxed places for just sitting and relaxing with friends or family or work colleagues and having a drink, while bars are more about going out and getting drunk and having an exciting time. I think pubs tend to focus more on selling different types of draft beer and have a few different whiskies and stuff, while bars tend to sell more bottled beer and then spirits, alco pops, cocktails, and that kind of thing. Bars also tend to have more of a cosmopolitan vibe, while pubs have a more traditional atmosphere, I think. So yeah, the pub is undoubtedly the most popular place to go on a Friday night after work with a few colleagues, on a Saturday night with friends, and I guess on a Sunday afternoon for a pint and a Sunday lunch. I suppose there are people who go to the pub every day, but I wouldn't recommend it. Beer comes in pints in England. There is a very traditional and distinctive beer glass shape, and it holds a pint of beer. A pint is actually the perfect size for a beer container. When English people go abroad, they find drinking beer much less satisfying because of the glass sizes. A litre is too big and half a litre is too small. I think if Goldilocks drank beer, she would definitely drink it by the pint. So other traditional foods worthy of note are fish and chips, which is fantastic if you get a good one, and the full English breakfast, which consists of fried bacon and eggs, sausages, mushrooms, and baked beans and toast. A good full English breakfast is a fine thing. So there are a lot of fish and chip shops in England. These are usually small shops with no chairs or tables, just a long counter with a big glass cabinet full of battered and fried fish and a thing full of chips, which are like big fat French fries. So the fish is usually either cod or haddock, and you go in, you order your fish and chips, and you stand there while they take the fish out of the big glass cabinet and scoop up some chips and wrap it up in newspaper and give it to you. Well, traditionally they used newspaper, although nowadays I think it's usually like purpose-made sheets of this off-white paper, purpose-made paper. Possibly health and safety rules say that they're not allowed to use newspaper anymore. I don't know. So sometimes fish and chip shops have tables and chairs though. And they're more like restaurants, or they have restaurants upstairs or whatever. Anyway, so they usually pretty much sell only fish and chips, plus battered red sausages called saveloys, mushy peas, and perhaps onion rings or something like that. Traditionally, you would put salt and vinegar on fish and chips. Most people do that, I guess. But also there's this special kind of curry sauce that's also quite popular. They also often sell fish and chips and full English breakfasts in pubs too. What else can I say? So Christmas is undoubtedly our biggest festival. Christmas is huge in England. Korea is about 50% Christian, and it's a much more religious country than England. Everybody goes to church in Korea, not so in England. But they don't really have Christmas in Korea. I mean, they kind of do. Christmas Day is a public holiday. But there's no tradition around it to speak of. Like, it's considered a day for couples, I guess, as far as Koreans are concerned, for some reason. Probably just because couples don't have to go to work, maybe. I don't know. But it certainly isn't a big family event like it is in England, though. And the rest of the Western world, I guess. When I was a kid, a lot of workplaces would shut down for a couple of weeks over Christmas. Everyone would take a chunk of paid vacation. And so Christmas was a much longer thing than just Christmas Day. I mean, it still is like that to a degree. But in today's busy world, I think that workplaces don't shut down for so long, just like a few days maybe. But the shops start putting Christmas decorations up in October now, which is ridiculous. Christmas is supposed to be a special time of year, but I don't know how it can feel special if the decorations are up for 25% of the year. What would it be like if 25% of people dressed like policemen? How could we trust the science if 25% of people walked around wearing lab coats and goggles everywhere they went? What would the circus be like if 25% of people walked around dressed as clowns and drove around in tiny cars, putting water down each other's trousers? It wouldn't be the same. Anyway, that's about it for today, I think. Quite possibly I will have some more to say about England in the future. But for now, have a great day, or enjoy the rest of your day, or enjoy your evening, or good night, depending on your current temporal situation. So thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.